And that's me. That's me. I came from nothing into something, and that's I owe everything to God.
Emmanuel Pacquiao was born into absolute poverty, into a broken family whose father had eventually abandoned it.
Ang nanay ang nagpalaki sa amin dahil si tatay madalas ay wala.
With only his mother struggling to raise the family, the Pacquiao clan barely had enough to survive.
I experienced that life that to have nothing. We don't have house, we don't have land, we don't have even food. We just, the carton, the box, and we live there. The boy that's speaking in front of you now, I experienced to sleep in the street with no food. Sometimes I'm hungry, we don't have food. Many days, I was lucky to have one full meal. On days when we had no food, I would drink lots of water just to fill my stomach. And that's my life, how God transformed my life into this level of life.
Young Manny had to quickly grow up to take on the burdens of the family.
His mother ran a small store, which they call a sari-sari store, and sold little things, candies, soft drinks to the neighbors, but that was not a real income.
We were dirt poor. I had to work since the age of 7 to help my mother, feed my 3 siblings and me. We learned how to work hard because we're all boys, so we learned how to work hard.
The first signs of an aptitude for fighting showed as Manny fought school bullies with his brother.
Nung nag-aral kami sa last time may kalaban ako. Ngayon, sa tingin ko hindi ko kaya, kaya nagpatulong ako sa kanya. Tinawag ko siya. Mamaya pag-uwian, samahan mo ako kasi may kalaban nga ako, ganun. Doon, nagpatulong ako sa kanya. Tuntukan talaga yun.
Pati may teacher nila, ang sabi, Mrs., anak mo palaging naglabas, malikot, suntok ng suntok sa hangin. Yung ko, ma'am, sorry, hapit na niya. Tama ng edad na 14, baka mag-boxer siya.
It wasn't long before street fighting was replaced by a desire to fight in the local boxing clubs, where he met his first trainer, Dizon Cordero.
Sensing his interest, I took him in. We would regularly train in my small house. I treated him as if he was one of my sons. I remember Manny at that time had no shoes. All he had was a pair of worn-out rubber slippers with holes.
Manny quickly realized he may have stumbled on a way to help feed his family.
I relented because I knew he was right about us being poor. I can sense his keen interest in boxing. He would wake us up at dawn and jog on his own to the plaza or the basketball court nearby. Then he'd start jabbing or punching the air.
Soon enough, he began to fight in the local semi-amateur tournaments.
There was a tournament, the Mindanao Open. For 1 week, I fought every day. We fight and I won. So I made $2. $2. $2. And if you lose, $1. And I buy a rice and food to my mom. And my mom's happy asking, where do you get this money? But I didn't tell her that, it's from like boxing.
He KO'd his opponent in the first round. I was so thrilled, so happy to see all my efforts in training him and his dedication bearing fruit.
Abner Cordero's father was stunned because Manny knocked him out. And it's hard to knock out an amateur fighter when you're a little kid. That was the beginning of the story of Manny Pacquiao.
He then found out that this opportunity could be way bigger than he initially thought.
Every Sunday we put on name and we keep on winning. Then somebody told us that there's a people or a champion in boxing. There's a popular Filipino champion in boxing, plus Ilorde and everything. I told them, who's that? I don't know boxing. This is a worldwide sport or like that. Oh, this is a popular sport, boxing. Really?
So he decided to take the leap of faith and leave his family to go to the city of Manila and pursue his dream.
When I went to Manila, I was 14 years old.
Hindi niya gusto ipaalam kay mama kasi si mama talagang ayaw niya kami mapalayo. Yan katulad ng pamuntang Maynila. Nung na siya, tumawag na lang siya or nagsulat, ganun.
After reaching his new home, he penned a letter to his mother, promising that he would turn over the fortunes of his family.
I wept when I read his words. I wrote back and told him to persevere and bide his time. I implored him to be a good boy always and to pray. Since then, we were writing each other regularly.
He was strengthened because of our poverty. He really promised that he'll get us out of poverty. And he said, he has always told me, just relax, Mama, I'll do something about this.
He said he was doing fine and he had some good news. He found a job in a scrap metal factory somewhere in Taguig. He worked by scraping the rusts out of the recycled metals.
He actually slept inside the ring, the same ring where fighters would spar, where fighters would leave their sweat and blood, and Manny would sleep inside his ring because he had nowhere else to go.
But that was the kind of surrounding that brought the best out of him. You know, filth, grime, dirt, blood, sweat, and tears at times.
Manny was now ready to turn pro, or so he thought.
They told me the required age is 18, but I was only 16.
Somebody told me, oh, he cannot fight. I just cheated my age.
It wasn't just his age that wasn't high enough. Manny was so small that he didn't reach the weight requirements to compete.
During my way, I carried the steel, you know.
You put metal?
Yeah, metal
In your
in my
pocket?
pocket.
After such a rough start to life and just as much of a rough start to his pro career, Manny was finally ready for his debut.
Ma, thanks be to God, somebody took me in as a boxer and I'm training and fighting again. I'm in a boxing show on TV. It's called Blow by Blow.
Manny had secured a place on a decent boxing show where the young kid would show his talents to local fight fans, and it was now time to show the world what he was made of.
General Santos City, Manny Pacquiao.
It didn't take long for Pacquiao to please the crowds.
Lamang na lamang po kung paikutan ito ng jabs bago mag-show na uppercut! That's the one that missed. Here's the one that connected. And another one, yes!
Meaning that beautiful left. And Torres is almost on his feet.
Of that, he should score with a left hook. Oy! Umayaw!
Pacquiao went on a winning run, defeating his first 11 opponents, and it seemed as if he had got the perfect start. However, Pacquiao encountered an early career slip-up. He failed to prepare properly for his next fight with Rustin Torrecampo and weighed in over the limit. Manny was forced to wear 8-ounce gloves, whilst Rustin wore 6-ounce gloves, and his opponent made it worth it.
Torrecampo being very, very
he caught Pacquiao. Torrecampo in blue. Torrecampo has carried the fight to Pacquiao. Oh! It's over.
Cannot get up on top. It's over. Manny Pacquiao, one punch, and his eyes are crossed. Torrecampo, coming out of nowhere.
Pacquiao took the loss on the chin.
Sabi niya, ma-experience lang to. Hindi man lahat nga panalo ang tanggapin natin. May talo, may panalo.
The rebuilding process was underway.
Ipo Gala cornered, but Gala fight back. A good left again, still gallantly on his feet, but he is not fighting back, and he's turned his back.
Punches, and he wants to finish him off early.
But he's working to the body very hard. Cracks into the hard right and the left. The Korean is...
Iba talaga ito. Bata na ito, guys.
We were saying he keeps busy.
And you know, that's the sign of immaturity. This boy has a lot of talent, but he's got to be guided.
He's got a lot to learn.
The right to that face.
Luna. He's going after Luna.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes.
As he could no longer stand the punishment that he was taking from Manny Pacquiao.
Pacquiao's explosive style and boyish charms earned the admiration of the fight fans.
Darling of the fans.
Well, he
sensational little fighter.
You know, he turned 20 years old just a week ago. Manny Pacquiao
Went after his opponents from the opening bell, non-stop. That's why the fans liked him.
Now, Manny Pacquiao is an attractive fighter. He's a sensational fighter.
Colorful.
Very colorful. He goes hell for leather after his opponents. He doesn't waste a minute. And that's why the fans love him. And today, he showed just what he's like.
Pacquiao's hard work paid off as he got a shot at the Oriental and Pacific Ocean Championship.
Oh, good left by Manny Pacquiao to the face. Caught him flush on the right side of the...
2 minutes and 46 seconds in the 5th round, scheduled for 12. We have a knockout, winner by knockout, Manny Pacquiao, the new OPBF champion.
After his first minor title, the chance had now come to fight for his first world title against the Thai fighter Chatchai Sasakul. Pacquiao trained like a beast, and those closest to him totally believed he would walk away with the title.
That's why I'm saying that I watch him train and I watch how hard the guy works, and I know he wants to prove to everybody that he is the true champion. The polished fighter Sasakul was giving Pacquiao a lesson for many rounds, and it looked like Pacquiao was going to take another loss.
Left to the side of the head. Good left! And Chatchai was rocked.
But Manny was determined to flip the fight around.
Pacquiao is very aggressive.
Very, very aggressive. You got to give him credit.
Yes.
Oh, cracking left by. Another good combination.
Pacquiao is throwing it on. And giving it
good right cross.
very aggressive, yes.
Oh, cracking left by.
And he ended up getting the knockout blow he was looking for.
Pacquiao is going in trouble. Pacquiao is down. He's down. Cracking left hand by Pacquiao. He's the world champion. Look at Chatchai. Chatchai around.
What a display of guts.
What a
by Manny Pacquiao.
Fight.
Pacquiao had won his first title, but this was only the start.
Masaya ako at natupad yung pangarap ko na mag-champion, makakuha ng belt sa boxing. After that, nangarap ulit ako na maging makilala sa hindi lang sa Pilipinas, kundi sa ibang.
And his supporters knew that they were watching something very special.
People erupt. I mean, everybody just as one jumped off the chairs. A couple guys jumped onto this big old table and started doing a dance, and man, it was that's why it was such an emotional time for us. I'll never forget his name, Manny Pacquiao.
Manny had went right back into the gym to prepare to defend his title.
Talking it. Oh, good left again. Number 4. Oh, he's down again. Right to the face of Gabriel Mira. Another left. Oh, that's it. That's it. Manny Pacquiao retains the WBC flyweight championship.
After one successful defense, one problem had now emerged. Pacquiao was struggling to make the weight of 112 for his next scheduled fight. Manny weighed in for his next defense over the limit, despite draining himself to try and make it, and even his trainer and friend Buboy Fernandez knew that Pacquiao was going into the fight without enough energy to win it.
His body had developed so much that he no longer could hold his weight down to 112 pounds, which is the limit for the flyweight division, when he couldn't make the weight. But he went through with the fight because he wouldn't be able to get his purse if he didn't step into the ring.
Despite the weight issues, the fight still went ahead. From the start, it was clear that this was not the same Pacquiao we had seen before. Pacquiao lost the title, and after another setback, it was time to go back to the drawing board. After his second loss, Manny decided to finally move up to the 122-pound division, and he was back to winning ways. Manny's rise was not without challenge though. But Manny had overcome all the bumps in the road. After successfully conquering Asia, Pacquiao now set his sights on crossing the Pacific and trying his talents in America. In 2001, Pacquiao had landed in the States, first touring San Francisco. It wasn't easy finding a new home, and Pacquiao went around the country touring different boxing gyms.
He was turned down by every promoter. There was just no interest in him.
We visit a different gym and train every day.
Had a difficult time finding a promoter who was willing to risk an investment in Manny Pacquiao. And I remember Manny went from one gym in San Francisco to another, looking for a home where a trainer could spend some time with him. Nobody wanted to touch him. Until his business manager, Rod Nazario, found out that there were two Filipino fighters training at the Wildcard Gym in Los Angeles.
The man who ran the energetic Wildcard Gym was Freddie Roach, a well-respected trainer who was a former boxer himself. His career didn't turn out how he wanted, but he had been trained by the legendary coach Eddie Fudge, who later tutored him in the art of training. And Roach went on to train some of the best fighters in the world. Roach would say, "You never know when the next Muhammad Ali is going to walk through the doors." But that day may have just come.
I came to Wildcard Gym and I met Freddie. Freddie was young. He was young back then.
Freddie didn't even know who Manny Pacquiao was.
After working out in the gym, Pacquiao's interest was sparked as he watched Freddie on the mitts with another fighter.
I like the way he do mitts, and I like the way he train.
Manny had asked for a chance to do the mitts with Freddie Roach. From the very first session, Freddie couldn't believe what he saw in the young Filipino.
He's a great trainer. He can see talent where others may not see the talent.
Bang, bang, bang. Just like a gun firing off. I never saw that in my life. You know, that first round really told me something. I mean,
already the first round?
The first round, because I never saw somebody with so much explosion on a punch. I knew he was special.
As the two worked together, a true bond was created between trainer and fighter.
So fun to work with. Everything he does is 100%, and that's the way fighters are supposed to be.
I trust him, and I He's like my father. He's looking for my future, good future, not bad.
He's like my kid to me. He's like my son. I mean, I love this kid.
The duo's first assignment would be for the IBF Super Bantamweight World title, as Pacquiao stepped in as a late replacement on 2 weeks' notice against the champion, Lehlo Ledwaba.
Thing is, I told him that I just finished my fight in the Philippines, so nothing to worry because I'm in shape.
Lehlo Ledwaba was no slouch, with 31 wins and only 1 loss. So this was a real test for Pacquiao.
Tail of the tape for Lehlo Ledwaba against Manny Pacquiao. I'll get it right.
It was time to show his new audience who he was.
We've got a real fight coming up.
Pacquiao should fight here. He shouldn't try to get into a boxing match with this master boxer from South Africa. Then you are in shape trying to box a boxer in bad shape.
And Pacquiao landing some. Manny Pacquiao has landed the harder shots in round 1, and now he dominates the last minute of the round with a full-scale attack against Ledwaba.
Pacquiao had exceeded all expectations.
He took this fight on only 2 weeks' notice, only came here to America. This guy just hit so hard that Ledwaba is totally on the defensive. 10 days ago, and bangs Ledwaba again with a big left up.
Fighter, he had no idea.
6, 7, 8. In the eyes of Ledwaba.
Yeah, and Joe Cortez has seen enough. That's a TKO victory for the very impressive Manny Pacquiao, who takes a good fighter and just takes him apart.
I had never seen him, and frankly, I'd never heard of him, but I've seen and heard of him now.
Manny had successfully announced himself to the scene.
The featherweight divisions needed a transfusion of some hot new blood. Hello, Manny Pacquiao. He is that. He can fight, he can punch. Jim, it could turn out that he's a whole blood bank for the featherweight division.
After coming back to the Philippines, his people was ecstatic to see their countrymen representing the country well. But Pacquiao wasn't done yet, and he continued to wow the crowd as he defended his new title.
You don't often see in the lower weight classes southpaw fighters whose prime stock in trade is punching power, but this is a southpaw who blows opponents away.
Followed him with the left hand. Did it twice in a row in the second one. Dropped Julio.
This is some prospect, Bobby. To me, he's every bit as exciting as Prince Nassim Hamed.
He really is. He can punch. He can take a punch.
Clinch to hit Lucero with a left hand over the top. Seems to have momentarily stunned Lucero. And Pacquiao, the Filipino star, very comfortable in LA. You can see there's the left hand that starts to Lucero standing up.
It's just teeing off on Julio, and Pacquiao definitely wins this way.
Pacquiao so quick, so aggressive.
After dominating title challenges, it was now time to step up.
Against much bigger names at 126.
So whenever he does decide to move up, I would take him as a serious threat to all of the featherweights up there.
All right, let's go to Mike.
Late 2003, it was now time for Pacquiao to take on the elites of the featherweight division. And there were 3 Mexican kings that Pacquiao would have to defeat for supremacy. There was Marco Antonio Barrera, the baby-faced assassin, an experienced warrior who ended the rise of Prince Nassim Hamed. And there was Erik Morales, another warrior with only 1 loss who had been in 2 competitive wars with Barrera.
Here comes Morales. Morales comes back with an uppercut and a right hand and a left and a right.
And finally, there was Juan Manuel Marquez, a tough technical fighter who could bang and had just become a unified featherweight title holder.
Right hand catches him and cuts him as well.
Marco Antonio Barrera was the first one Pacquiao took on, and this was a fight in which Pacquiao was the underdog.
Most of the people prayed that he would win, but deep down in their hearts, they didn't expect him to win.
I think there are two Filipinos only, my manager and my trainer. They believe that I'm gonna win.
Featherweight champion of the world, Barrera. The challenger, Pacquiao.
I want to have a good, clean fight for the Olympia. Y buena suerte. Good luck. Touch him up.
Can he hold off Pacquiao with his skill, or is he going to be forced into a toe-to-toe battle?
In the first round, an off-balance Pacquiao tripped and fell immediately down on the scorecards.
Yes, Lawrence Cole's going to call that a knockdown, and Pacquiao saying why.
And I'm not sure that a punch did land. Yeah.
Pacquiao had a mountain to climb from the very first round.
By Pacquiao when he led.
It looked as much like a slip as anything else.
But Barrera is much more aggressive than I expected.
With the idea of fighting fire with fire, Manny.
Making Pacquiao back, something that Pacquiao was not prepared for.
Great action in the first round. Left hand counter by Barrera.
Pacquiao is trying to take control. Is this going to be a good fight? Because neither guy is going to accept the other guy controlling the fight.
Getting his left hand in, just like there. He's had 4 or 5 of them, 6 in the last 30 seconds.
He never shows emotion in the ring. Big combination by Barrera as he catches Pacquiao coming in. Pacquiao has come out with a determined...
Manny's speed and accuracy picked up, and there was no doubt around the next knockdown.
Hard left hand, straight on the button by Pacquiao. Down goes Barrera.
Just can't cope with its speed.
Probably some in this arena who didn't really know who Manny Pacquiao was. Now they know as Pacquiao tries to go ahead.
Ambitious little warrior.
Pacquiao is strafing Barrera with left hands. Marco's hanging in now.
He can survive this round, and Pacquiao runs out of gas a few rounds later. Pacquiao's going to be in trouble. But if this stays right here, everything is great for Pacquiao.
Coming right through the right hand counter. Landed another big left hand.
Perfect punch is what Pacquiao's been trying to do all night long, and he finally landed it.
Now definitely trying to stay away and not... Barrera getting 3 chances to counter with the left hook. Starting to dominate every area of the fight now. Barrera gets a hard right hand back. Thinks he's hurt Pacquiao. And by Pacquiao. Barrera just trying to stay away. Pacquiao has made him look older than his years.
Yes, he has.
Gives as good as he takes. But Pacquiao's body punches, and Lawrence Cole says it's not a knockdown.
A war was breaking out as Pacquiao's combinations went up against Barrera's resilience.
And he backs Barrera into the ropes and hammers him again.
Barrera wincing, the blood dripping into the corner of his eye.
Pacquiao still determined not to let the right jab is coming in.
By Barrera, left hand counter, stop Pacquiao. Now Barrera butts Pacquiao.
He wanted to use as an excuse possible to have the fight terminated.
And there was Barrera's button.
In the midst of war, Barrera was getting frustrated.
-1, -1, -1.
And what's the interesting, there's another bad headbutt. But Pacquiao.
Hard right hand by Barrera. Uppercut landed. Pacquiao lands a left hand. Barrera counters back with a left. Big punches from Pacquiao.
And Pacquiao is smart. He's not really throwing
out of his left eye. Annihilating a guy who was universally ranked pound-for-pound fighters in the sport.
Larry, that's a good question, but
I want you to sit down with some power shots now. You hear me? Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Been one of the most entertaining fighters in the world.
Star in the making. Manny Pacquiao with a sensational performance so far.
Marco was starting to look discouraged, and Pacquiao sensed it.
There's no way a great fighter should have to go through 3 more minutes of there. Barrera's corner man is up underneath. He's going to step into the ring. That's a good decision.
An awesome young fighter.
Well, it sets Pacquiao up for some huge fights and some big money in the future. Our Filipino star, Manny Pacquiao. annihilates the great Marco Antonio Barrera.
New featherweight champion of the world, Manny Pacquiao.
The Philippines went crazy for their man.
Everything in the Philippines stopped. Everybody was just glued to his TV set. Manny Pacquiao was a heavy underdog, and a lot of people didn't expect him to win. But you know, he brings that hope to the Filipinos.
He's a kid who sold stolen cigarettes on the streets so he could eat. His country's most famous citizen, most celebrated citizen.
Everything changed after that first Barrera fight. He's a hero, he's an icon.
They just went crazy, absolutely crazy. The motorcade he got was unbelievable.
He's been declared a national treasure by the government of the Philippines.
But it was now time to look for further glory and new challenges to keep the rise going.
Manny, I'm standing here racking my brain trying to think of a featherweight who might want to face Manny Pacquiao. And I think he just wiped out the division psychologically. Pacquiao's going to be looking hard for people who want to face that kind of devastation.
Pacquiao's performance against Barrera was stunning, but didn't scare away the unified champion Juan Manuel Marquez, and his next big fight was scheduled for 2004. Marquez was a technical puncher with good finishing power, but had yet to taste the fame that Barrera had already achieved. So this fight was a battle between two hungry, up-and-coming lions, and fight fans were in for a possible contender for Fight of the Year.
Gym legends surrounding a fighter, as is the case now for Pacquiao. Out of the wild card gym in Hollywood come stories of sparring partners with broken ribs.
Marquez comes out in a more offensive.
It didn't take long for fireworks to explode.
When he throws his punches. And he's getting picked off down the middle by Marquez as he did on a quick left hook there. And he fires the straight left hand, and there's the punching power.
He's got caught with a straight shot right down the pipe.
Hit with another one and another one.
He's hurt now. He's hurt. He's hurt. If he doesn't move his head, he's going down again.
Back to Pacquiao off.
But he's going straight back.
Third knockdown of the first round. And I'm not sure Juan Manuel will be able to get up. Manny Pacquiao is a storm. Huge left. And another big one. And Pacquiao lands another huge left.
Heart and determination to survive this round.
His head is not moving.
Marquez hasn't ever seen anything like that.
It couldn't have went any better for the Filipino challenger.
Pacquiao coming at Marquez like a typhoon.
Here's the second one. Just befuddling Marquez.
Well, Marquez came out and tried fighter in the ring. Maybe.
Manny went back in for the kill, and the question was, how would Marquez recover?
Now Pacquiao goes back to work, and again the fight goes to a faster pace than that at which Marquez would want the fighter.
Avoiding a lot of the straight punches now by dropping off to the...
He caught him again.
Marquez was getting his timing together and was stabilizing back into the fight.
Marquez lands a solid left, and another one.
Explodes out of it with that straight left.
Hard left hand by Pacquiao landed flush. Now a lot more aware of Pacquiao's speed.
Now it was Marquez who was quickly gaining momentum and accuracy.
Marquez making his stand, coming back, putting himself into the fight.
Time to get in, land the left, and then get back out. There's a hard right hand by Marquez that jolted Pacquiao. They're edging toward fighting more Marquez's fight than Pacquiao's fight.
Every time he throws the left hand now, Marquez is trying to counter.
Hard right hand by Marquez. Follows up with another.
Right hand, uppercut, hook from Marquez.
Low blow by Marquez, he got away with it. Pacquiao comes back with two big... So just as Marquez decided to get offensive, Pacquiao was able to come back.
That was a good move right there.
Hard right hand stuns Pacquiao. Now once again wants to fight fire with fire. Marquez pops him with the right again.
The situation was now beginning to get very serious for Pacquiao's team.
Emmanuel, can you remember watching a man get knocked down in the first round 3 times and then come back to win the fight recently?
I think of a fighter like other top fighters for a long time.
Time them coming in and out.
But Marquez strafes him twice with the right hand. And as Pacquiao looks off to win the fight. Hard left hand by Pacquiao. Marquez answers immediately with the right. Hard left hand by Pacquiao. Marquez backing up on the defense.
Approaching the last quarter of the fight, Manny began to press on with urgency.
Pacquiao gets the crowd thrilled as Pacquiao not letting it show here. Steps inside in return. Pacquiao's left, Marquez is right.
And once he neutralizes the left hand, he's neutralized everything.
Going into the last round, it seemed as if the fight was up for grabs.
They can win this fight if they win this round.
Which fighter has something left? Pacquiao's trainer. Two real fighters from their guts.
And I would just wonder if Marco...
Fire against fire. Down the stretch. Pacquiao's left. Marquez is right.
The competitive war drew mixed assessments, but it was time to hear the judges' verdict.
Had Pacquiao winning a close fight.
We go to the scorecards. The bout is a draw. Both fighters keep their respective titles.
Manny was forced to return to the Philippines without new belts. Despite no new title, Pacquiao remained a star in his country, which was a blessing for the kid who came from nothing.
He's the most famous person in the Philippines, and he has no competition. It's unbelievable. I mean, his album in the first week he sold 500,000 copies. I don't even know if he can sing. Everything he does turns to gold. He's huge over there.
How many fans from other cultures around the globe will attach to this guy because of his color and his excitement and the way that he fights?
He has so many commitments, and there's just so many people who want a piece of him.
But his blessing was also a potential curse, as his stardom was threatening to distract him from his pugilistic ambitions.
There's been rumors with Manny Pacquiao with perhaps that he has a gambling problem.
Whether it's because of gambling or partying or shooting pool or drinking beer, he's been rumored to have done all those things to excess.
Manny has some vices, you know, things he doesn't do in front of me, of course, but drinking beer, gambling, cockfights. I keep telling him it's going to catch up with you sooner or later, but hopefully not this time.
Nobody really wants to fight Manny Pacquiao, or so it would seem, but Erik Morales did.
All distractions would have to be set aside, as Erik Morales was up next, and he was no easy fight.
A lot of Mexican fans were already in love with Erik Morales, and Morales did portray the traditional profile of the Mexican fighter. Hit and get hit, with intensity.
Morales was just an unstoppable warrior who would find a way to beat anybody.
It was time to see who would capture the vacant WBC super featherweight title.
Of Manny Pacquiao's fight with Juan Manuel Marquez last year 8 different times. Pacquiao has respect for Morales. He has not assaulted as freely and openly as he did Marquez and Barrera. Both fighters focusing on the body early, but now Pacquiao lands his left hand flank, doing damage anyway. Morales very wary about Pacquiao's
hurt Morales' body really bad.
So the power is showing up. If you come close to hurting Erik Morales, he's coming right at you. And again, and the blinding speed of Pacquiao's apparent, and Morales chases him across the ring and says, let's fight, as Morales wobbles away and then turns around and fires a combination.
The fight was back and forth from the very beginning.
He landed a left hand, a right hook. As soon as he stops, Morales tells him to come on, and Morales brings it back to him and lands his right hand up.
Good straight right lead by Morales.
Drove Pacquiao back. Now he lands the left. It's the left hand that opponents worry about.
That was a good right hand body shot by Erik Morales.
And a great right hand.
Like that.
Just took the left hand there, and it
takes the lead.
And Morales lands upstairs. It's going to make it very hard for Pacquiao to get off. Now Pacquiao lands and drives Morales into the corner.
Yeah, Erik has an iron jaw and has had all of his career.
Took a hard left hand, landed a body. A very smart fight by Erik Morales so far. And he bangs Pacquiao with two right hands. Another right hand upstairs. The crowd is getting very excited. A right hand by Morales. Pacquiao comes on with the left.
Talk about living up to expectations.
Heading into the middle rounds, Erik Morales began to neutralize Pacquiao.
His fight.
Hard left hand by Pacquiao. And I think it's clear right now. Manny Pacquiao.
You ain't never boxed before. You got to know boxing to know this to see what's happening here. You ever boxed before, you know what I'm talking about. The counter with the overhand right, boom, a good right hand, flesh on the jaw of Pacquiao, and Pacquiao, good left hook by Morales.
Inside. Pacquiao never saw it coming. Pacquiao's doing some damage. Morales is landing the higher quality.
Matters worsened as Manny suffered a cut from an accidental headbutt.
Holds up the sign that says this cut was caused by a punch. He's bleeding from his right eye. Big time. And Pacquiao seems a little bit wary and off stride right now, as if to say, I'm a bigger man. You're fighting at 130. Welcome to my neighborhood.
Medical officer.
He's clearly disturbed and thrown off stride in the 5th round by the cut next to his eye. The excitement doubles as Manny Pacquiao senses that he's in a desperate situation a little bit, and then turn things around like this.
You never know about cerebral.
Right hand over the top by Morales. Right hands to the body. Pacquiao lands a sizzling left as he hammers that right hand down the chute and goes back to the body with a fist down his track. Right hand wobbles him again. Morales senses a chance with a right hand.
He's still in the fight in a major way, and he's not giving up here. This will be a bloodbath regardless, and it will be just like it's happening.
Morales goes forward. Erik Morales can't stand to be hurt. Now Morales wants his moment. Drives Pacquiao back to the jet.
Brave warriors.
Pacquiao sensed the urgency of the situation.
Boxing gym has had an extremely active career than most. What a right hand by Morales. Pacquiao's in trouble.
It's Pacquiao's mouthpiece, without a doubt.
Look at Pacquiao strafing Morales with left hands, even while fighting without the mouthpiece.
Approaching the last few rounds, the direction slightly favored Morales.
The hottest knockout machine in the lower weight classes needs a knockout. More than a minute left in the round. Great combination by Morales.
And Pacquiao demolished Barrera. Why is Morales and he takes such a good punch that it
Last round. Good. Where's the lead? That's the lead both ways. Please don't get overconfident. Be careful.
Morales' corner told him that the win was his if he stayed safe in the last round.
Left in this one. Difficult to do it against the...
But Morales decided to take a huge risk by fighting in the southpaw stance.
He switches southpaw, lands a couple of right hands, puts himself in harm's way though.
Manny was now gifted a chance to try and get a knockout.
I think Morales wants to fight. About going into the jaws of the lion, and there are no athletes like fighters. There's nowhere else in sport you'll find greater sheer guts than what these two guys are showing you. This is boxing at its best.
In the southpaw position. I don't know why he would do this, but him to do it.
What a fight!
Nobody is going to ask for their money back.
Manny tried hard to knock Morales out, but in the end, the judges would decide the winner.
To the winner by unanimous decision, Mexico.
I do my best. I try my best to win the fight. You know.
Do you want a rematch?
Yeah, I want rematch anytime, anywhere.
Thank you very much.
After 3 fights with the division's best, Pacquiao was 1-1-1, which was below the expectation of the star's potential, and to add to his distractions, he was experiencing problems within his team. Pacquiao had to clear it all up to get back on track.
We did have a lot of distractions.
Everybody advised me that you have to concentrate to your fight because when you lose, you're wrong, you're nothing.
And now it was evident how much focus Pacquiao had been lacking before his loss.
We're warming up in the dressing room, and Manny was telling jokes, and he's never like that. And I slapped Manny with the mitt and said, "Come on, let's go, let's get to work."
It finally dawned on me in the dressing room, so I said, "Manny, this is a tough fight. Let's think about this fight." But it was too late by then.
That distraction is my fault because I make my own distraction on myself.
However, it wasn't just Manny who had been lacking total focus.
I underestimated him, yes, and I said it at the last press conference. So I thought, he got beat by Barrera. Then he takes a tough fight with Pacquiao right away. I says, "Oh, this guy might be just doing it for the money. This is probably his last fight."
But now Freddie was determined to make up for it.
I get a lot of criticism that Manny was just a one-handed fighter. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make him a better fighter, and we just worked really, really hard on the right hand, the jab and the hook.
And those improvements were clear in the comeback fight against Velasquez.
Pacquiao has landed more right hands tonight than we usually see him.
And realized that the Mexican fighter had had enough of Pacquiao's constant storm of power punches.
After his tune-up, Pacquiao was now scheduled to rematch Morales, and this time around, there was an energy in the camp that was missing before.
He's mentally really ready for this fight, more prepared. And when a guy beats you, there's no better motivation than that in the world.
More, inspired me to train hard to win the fight.
Morales fought a great fight, and I don't want to take anything away from his win, but he better be ready this time.
On the line, the WBC International title.
Take yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Touch gloves. Good luck. Buenas-suerte.
I said, I just hope they fight so well that we want to see it again. This is again.
Yeah, but after the way the fight went, very just almost perfect for Pacquiao's favorite punch, which is straight left right through the center. His whole attack is based around his straight. He starts his exchanges, and that's going to be a big factor. Too hard.
Despite a good start from Manny, it was clear that Morales came to win once again.
Morales backs Pacquiao up with a big right hand, almost knocks him down with a right hand.
Each other up in another way right now.
A flurry at the end of the round by Pacquiao needs to do. He has to be a two-handed fighter instead of a one-handed fighter.
That separates fighters like Morales is. The runs are having an effect, but Manny Pacquiao
momentarily stuns here. But Morales always fights back when he's stunned.
There's so much for the boxer.
The war is on.
He had effectively to make it much easier for that straight left to the center.
Morales comes back with a straight left hand and chopping rights, and
be a little unsteady.
Hard right hand by Morales over the top, and a left hook by Morales. He trade combinations. It's Morales who dominates the exchange.
Good for boxing.
Excellent counter right hook by Pacquiao. That might be hindering his work with the jab and the right hand. If Pacquiao isn't stopping,
Pacquiao says he's got the punches.
Manny, the chance almost knocks Morales down with the left.
Yeah, the straight lefts are landing.
Pacquiao is a blunt instrument. Just come forward.
The fight was developing into one of the most entertaining wars of the era, and there was no clear winner yet approaching the middle rounds.
And Pacquiao doesn't have the defense for the left tail of Morales.
But definitely Morales is the bigger man.
Good shot.
Tends to get marked up.
Morales is jab, but Morales with a stiff left knocks back. Right hand catching.
Tough 10 or 12 seconds for Morales, and here he comes right back.
Now landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots inside. He's having a big round here. Already Pacquiao's thrown 52 power shots in the round.
To try to knock out Morales, be the first guy to knock him out.
What a round for Manny Pacquiao.
That's a big round.
That's the best round Pacquiao's had against Morales.
Now Morales was cut, his corner was now growing concerned. But could Pacquiao keep up this success?
Huge for Pacquiao. Body by Pacquiao. Morales catches him with a left hook. Turns it back around for the moment. Or backs Morales off. Here comes the Mexican Warrior again. What incredible competitors both of these guys are. In the past, it's Erik Morales who is wobbling now, as his legs have clearly been affected.
Pacquiao was now throwing his best punches at Morales, but the Mexican refused to give in and would always come back with his own shots.
He's been so good with the right hand tonight. Morales with a brilliant counter right again. More effective right hand punching, and now Morales hand partially blocked by Pacquiao. Pacquiao is getting more and more accurate as these rounds work. And Morales with a jab and a right hand and a body shot and another right, and suddenly he's back in the fight.
The 10th round came and Pacquiao was on a seek and destroy mission.
Difference between Reyes gloves and winning gloves.
I don't think the gloves will make any difference. I really don't.
Right out into the bucket between rounds.
It's a good body shot by Pacquiao. He tries to catches Morales with a straight left. Erik manages to duck and slip it. And he almost did go down on that shot.
Yeah, he's fighting, but his legs are so weak that at any time he can go.
There he goes. First real knockdown of Erik Morales' career. And now Morales, but it's almost impossible to imagine it now.
It's over.
There's the second knockdown and the stoppage.
A great victory for Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao has knocked out the great Erik Morales.
He just got bigger.
Brilliant and courageous performance by the pride of the Philippines.
Will you give him that rematch? Do you think there should be a third fight?
So if he wants to rematch, I'm open anytime, anywhere. So people's watching right now, thank you very much to all of you, and especially the Mexican people and all the people loves boxing.
Pacquiao had emphatically avenged his defeat, and the final piece to the trilogy was scheduled 10 months later. It was Morales who was now looking for revenge, and the two fighters were in preparation for another war. This time, Morales adopted a new training regime in order to cope with the speed of Pacquiao.
I mean, if you want to be fast, you got to train fast. You are what you train. If you want to be quick, you got to train quick.
And Manny made sure to prepare like a beast.
We're going to do all our obligations, and we're going to train really hard for this fight. The future's not really bright unless we win this fight.
November 2006, it was time to write the final story to this chapter.
Now, good luck, both of you. Tocalos, buena suerte.
Hide the women and children, if any of them are still awake.
Round one begins. Will it be a boxing match? Will it be a brawl? Will it be a little of both? It requires both fighters to wear packed house, and of course you have so many thinks that Morales is going to try to impose his size early, but tonight, as he merely stands his ground, Pacquiao crowd chanting Manny, Manny, Manny. Morales, who landed some good right hands.
Only 2 rounds in, and Pacquiao was starting to dominate the fight.
Morales just didn't see. He was coming in against
Morales to the punch so far.
And Morales countering with a right hand that knocks Manny back. And Morales again countering properly upstairs. Hands in the first fight. Tried to drive Pacquiao back with right hands there, but Manny comes back with a torrent of power. Pacquiao lands a right and a left. And another right hook.
Even though Morales is landing, he seems to be still uncoordinated as compared to...
Down goes Morales, and Morales thought that he had Pacquiao in That was the 4th time in his career that Erik Morales has been knocked down back. He goes down easier against Pacquiao than against anybody else he's ever fought. They trade punches at the rope. And when they trade punches, Morales takes a gamble with Pacquiao strengthened.
Now he's supposed to get the last punch. The great fights with Barrera was attributed to that jab is a lot better. He went to try to counter with a jab after blocking a jab.
And unlike some punchers, Manny does have head movement. Erik Morales not afraid to fight with one of the most dangerous punchers in the sport.
Right hook, the punch that...
Hard right hand, stunned Morales. Pacquiao's all over it. Thinks he's staggered after that last left hand. And down he goes. Solid left hand shot by Pacquiao, who did not block. Oh, what a solid left hand by Pacquiao. It's hard to imagine how Morales can last long against this. What guts by Morales by Pacquiao. Punch after punch after punch. Manny wants to finish Morales right here. And the brave heart of Morales holds up, but his legs go again. The fight by Pacquiao against Morales. Morales shakes his head as if to say, I want him to fight. Manny Pacquiao has the knockout. Erik Morales was overwhelmed. Manny Pacquiao goes to another level.
The winner by knockout victory, Pacquiao.
You know, I like that. He came in early, you know. He came out early to... I can knock him. I have a chance to knock him out too in the early rounds. I think I'm stronger than him. Now I think he felt my power.
And again, the question already was what was next.
You know, the prospect of Manny Pacquiao getting better is frightening to everybody at 130 pounds, maybe even up to 135. I don't think I've ever seen him look any better than that.
But I was impressed with him tonight, and I still see a lot of flaws in his style. That a rematch with Barrera, I think, is going to be a tough fight for him. As well, if he ever fights a Juan Manuel, I think those two fights are going to be tough fights for him.
Yeah.
Before Manny's scheduled rematch with Barrera, up next for him was a routine fight against Solis, and he collected the WBC international title. Meanwhile, Barrera had won 6 out of his 7 last fights, and was training hard like never before.
Estamos trabajando, nos estamos levantando, estamos corriendo y estamos haciendo el trabajo para salir a ganar y no creer en todos los cuentos que hay, o sea, no hay.
And while Barrera was focused, Pacquiao was basking in the glory back home and had yet to come back to LA to start his training camp. Trainer Freddie Roach was left frustrated at Manny's absence, not knowing when he was showing up.
I'm not sure. The plane lands at 8 o'clock at night, and he was supposed to be on last night's flight, and I don't know if he's here yet. If he doesn't show up soon, we're giving Barrera a chance to win the fight.
In the end, Roach had to fly out to the Philippines to get training started.
It was time to start work. I said, okay, we just can't have any distractions, and he agreed to it, and so we're here.
Se ponga a entrenar porque no la lleva tan fácil como los comentarios y las apuestas dicen.
Did Pacquiao get focused in time, or would a motivated Barrera capitalize in much the same way that Morales did?
For the WBC International Super Featherweight Championship, let's get ready to rumble!
He's waited 4 years for this rematch. And there goes the bell. Here we are, gentlemen. And which, wow, indeed, incredible. The crowd, you can hear the crowd, which is Rich was talking about. There, good right hand.
In round number 2, there's that good left hand from Barrera.
Barrera started the fight with intentions to make it much more competitive this time around.
Conspiracies will arise. A lot of great shots by Barrera. And still, a big shot by Barrera, but Pacquiao saying that it.
Yeah, he lied.
Wow.
Barrera, as he was coming down the aisle during the introduction.
Good left hand work from Barrera. Wow. Good right hand from Manny. He's trying to do his thing. Good counter from Barrera. Good answer from Barrera. Now they're getting it on. That took it, landed. Manny would have certainly been staggered.
Both fighters had their moments, and halfway through, the fight was competitive.
That'd be something Freddie Roach.
Oh, right hand for Barrera. Right counter by Barrera. Wow. That got Manny's Pacquiao going to the right hand more. Good left hand gets in for Pacquiao. The speed to the body. For Manny, he's starting to play with it. Marcos leads his arm. Come on in now, Marco goes.
Manny's corner was now urging him to fully own the fight.
Manny Pacquiao, that's the power. And then Barrera always answers.
Hey, Manny, this fight's way too close.
They want Barrera to start throwing a little more. I think it would behoove him, but he survived. There comes Manny. There's the speed. Well, his punches actually missed. Barrera managed, but he's not going to miss all of them. Barrera digging in now, coming out.
Pacquiao began to have more dominant moments, and unfortunately for Barrera, he would suffer a cut on his cheek and get a point deducted for hitting on the brake.
Fight. Is this going to inspire Manny? Manny's got to look at the
right. I think
see what he's got left.
Barrera knows he's cut.
Listen, a headbutt. This is a tough fight to call, gentlemen.
All I know is either way, it's probably going to be controversial.
The judges came to a unanimous decision. Manny had overcome another rematch, but it was the next one that would be a bigger threat. In 2008, Pacquiao and old rival Marquez were ranked in the top 3 of the sport's best fighters. But since the current number 1, Floyd Mayweather, was retiring, their rematch would effectively decide the number 1 spot in the pound-for-pound rankings. Both fighters understood the seriousness of the task after reflecting on the war 4 years ago.
Such a fast start and exciting start with 3 knockdowns in the first round. I thought the fight was over.
Yeah, first round, and you know, I told myself I couldn't believe it.
Después del primer round, que fue un infierno para mí, lo que teníamos que usar era la inteligencia.
1 year ago, Marquez had also defeated Marco Antonio Barrera impressively.
He's beating Barrera to the punch over and over and over.
And Marquez was determined to make Pacquiao his next victim.
Me estoy preparando bastante bien, me estoy preparando, yo creo que, como siempre lo he dicho, siempre en cada pelea me preparo bien y en esa me estoy preparando mejor. ¿Por qué? Porque hay muchas esperanzas en mí, la gente mexicana y los fans y todo esperan que le gane a Manny Pacquiao, y yo es lo que voy a intentar hacer el 15 de marzo.
Now we would get the chance to see if Marquez's words were right.
General Santos City, Philippines, the challenger, 45 victories including 34 knockouts, professional record, 48 victories including 35 knockouts.
And here it is.
Well, Marquez is straight right.
And you see what Marquez is doing in training.
2004. Hard left hand by Pacquiao.
Wait till after
Hard right hand by Marquez. The body looks terrific. Body shot by Marquez.
But Marquez has been more effective in this exchange.
Uppercut by Marquez. Huge left hook. Buckled Pacquiao.
A few minutes in and the fight started to heat up.
Exploit any mistakes.
Absolutely, you're right.
And the straight Pacquiao comes back with the straight left. Manny tries to tee off to the left and gets it in.
This can change back and forth from this right here.
Down goes Marquez on a straight left-hand shot. Shot by Pacquiao.
He's done good. Here you see the knockdown right here. Beautiful shot.
Pacquiao trying to search and destroy. Marquez trying to shock him with counter. Just an amazing athletic specimen. The speed, the ability to keep doing it. That's why Manny Pacquiao.
Confidence is building up now. He's shooting his message.
Look at this.
The fight was a violent seesaw as both fighters went back and forth throwing power punches.
Bloodlotty reaching with the left upstairs. There's the right hand again.
He's got to get his rhythm back.
Well, Freddie Roach said it one of Manny Pacquiao's eyes. The left eye.
paper fight at this distance and at this pace right away. I mean, one of these guys could get knocked down and come back the same goddamn.
Hard right hand by Marquez. You see the difference?
And I'm quite sure we're not your variance in here, but good cut man in the front also.
Now he lands the right. They're trading shots. It's a Manny Pacquiao.
The fight was now becoming a bloody affair.
Blood on his eye.
It was from his after the first round.
Marquez is more accurate. Now Pacquiao's lead eye is compromised. There's a perfect uppercut by Marquez. He is swamping Pacquiao in this round. Hard right hand by Pacquiao. Perfect straight right hand.
Sure of when a Marquez gets it.
Nevada's medical supervision is the best. I tell you, that 1.4 percent. Marquez down. Three of them. Pacquiao comes back. Unless he has won this round, where he may need a knockout to beat Manny.
Both fighters needed to push hard in the final round if they wanted to make sure it wouldn't be the same result as last time.
Well, that heightens the drama. Good uppercut by Marquez.
He has a good chance of winning this round. This could be crucial.
Solid shots by Marquez, and he ducks Manny. High drama in Las Vegas. We waited 4 years to see this rematch. Blood, and here comes the crowd. One more right hand for Marquez. One more combination for Pacquiao. Down the stretch.
The last round was edged by Marquez, but did Pacquiao do enough beforehand to win?
And new champion from the Philippines, Pac-Man Pacquiao.
The knockdown caused the difference in the fight, and his next target was to move up and make a difference in the lightweight division.
But we have a plan to fight on 135 pounds, but it's not yet fixed.
After Pacquiao's win over Marquez, he had finally completed overcoming the challenge of the three Mexican kings. 13 years after Pacquiao's debut, he had now risen to the #1 ranking in the world.
He is arguably the most exciting fighter in the sport. He's also now arguably #1 pound for pound in the wake of the retirement of Floyd Mayweather.
Pacquiao was now looking for a 4th title at 135 pounds, and he challenged the WBC champion David Diaz. Diaz was a former US Olympian who had beaten Erik Morales for the title, but did he have the stuff to trouble Pac-Man?
Main event, David Diaz against Manny Pacquiao.
Diaz may push him. May not look good, but mauling and pushing him backwards, not letting him have his rest time. Pacquiao may have a problem with that. Know who's the favorite, who's the star, but it doesn't bother him. He feels this is his time.
Fans who love exciting boxing, Manny Pacquiao is #1 in the world.
You see Pacquiao throwing punches in such a volume, and they're all coming from different angles. He's mixing up, and that's why it's so...
If anything, he looks faster.
He looks faster, more natural, looks stronger. All of it.
Great punishment.
Manny outclassed Diaz until a brutal end in round 9.
How many more? Down he goes, and Dracula stops the fight. Welcome to the lightweight division. De La Hoya is going to retire by the end of this year. Where does the spotlight fall? Right here.
Here he is.
Pacquiao had just entered the lightweight division, but had now set his sights on an unthinkable target. Pacquiao's next challenge was to be with a fighter who was currently 3 divisions higher, Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was a future Hall of Famer, former Olympian, and had even fought at middleweight.
There's the punching power and the accuracy. Face to face. And
It's over. It's all over.
The idea of Pacquiao fighting De La Hoya was suicidal, but if he could win, he would officially be the sport's new superstar.